Good evening and welcome to the second edition of News Tonight. We'll start with a look at the top stories we have for you.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
President Yoweri Museveni, Russian ambassador, meet in bilateral meeting. The executive director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Baterana, interdicted. Police warned on expenditure on court awards. While the third edition of the Karamoja Games to emphasize COVID safety and environmental protection.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
News Tonight, welcome aboard. My name is Micheal Jordan Lukomwa. Elizabeth Nakakoni is our sign language interpreter. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in our first story, has today held a bilateral meeting with the ambassador of Russian Federation, Vladlen Smelovos. During the discussion, they discussed matters of mutual interest between the two countries. Ambassador Vladlen was accompanied by Dr. Evgeny Kalashnikov, the ideology head of mission at the Russian Federation, Uganda's Minister for Foreign Affairs, General Bubeka Jeje Odongo, and Ambassador Arthur Kafeiro. Vice President Jessica Alupo has tasked the Ministry of Finance to increase funding towards the wildlife sector. This, she says, will boost the sector that contributes highly towards the economy. USAID has pledged Uganda shillings 8 billion to boost conservation through construction of a milk cooler to serve Rainbow Go between Lake Mburo National Park and the surrounding community. This was at the Uganda Wildlife Education Center in Entebbe during the event to commemorate the Wildlife Day.
Tourism also became one of the world's major trade categories, with export revenues from tourism reaching United States dollar 1.7 trillion in 2019, equivalent to 28% of the world's trade in services and 7% of overall exports of goods and services. In Uganda alone, tourism accounted for 7.75% of national gross domestic product by 2018. They have ostriches, they have tortoises, they have snakes, they have pythons, they have rhinos, crocodiles, monkeys, and that family of monkeys. And those are a few that I can remember. So when Mr. Musingos was saying that they need to feed them, I don't even know what some of them eat. So I think you need to give them a listening ear.
There is 5 community wildlife areas, 506 central forest reserves, 181 local forest reserves. And the Ministry of Tourism is responsible for conservation and management of wildlife resources, not only in those protected areas, but also outside the protected areas.
Woodlands, grasslands and wetlands in the past 25 years have been dramatic. Ensuring protection and conservation of the remaining Ugandan natural assets is a paramount priority and the crucial foundation over which future restoration work should rest.
We've also used the occasion to highlight the challenges that we face, one of them being financial challenges and limited funding, where we have raised the issue of the cutting of our budget for the next financial year from 11 billion to 5 billion. Our feeling is that this should not happen because of the critical role we are playing in wildlife conservation in an environment.
This theme resonates very well with most of the activities that UT has been doing to conserve our wetlands, to conserve our forests, to also be very careful with the endangered species of specific animals and birds.
This side and receive. And once you've received it, please hoist it so that everyone here testifies.
The Executive Director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Baterana, has been interdicted. A letter signed by the Permanent Secretary circulating on social media shows that the Executive Director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Baterana, will keep away from office. But his lawyers told a press conference detesting the way the whole case has been handled when there is a pending case.
Dr. Baterana was arrested by State House Health Monitoring Unit on alleged offences of embezzlement and causing financial loss of 28 billion to government. Since Monday this week, the Executive Director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Baterana, has been in police custody pending investigations. He has been released on a police bond after recording a statement.
We have managed to secure his release on police bond. Sureties were the Honorable here and the doctors who are present.
He is proved guilty, or he himself pleads guilty. In all these circumstances, when Dr. Baterana has been accused and brought in detention, he's an innocent man. He has not been charged, he has not been convicted because he has not been tried anymore.
But a letter signed by the Permanent Secretary and Minister of Health shows that he has been interdicted.
But we can assure you that we shall challenge that interdiction. The due process of the law has to be followed. If you are the PS, like we have seen the interdiction signed by the PS, and you write to the person and say, let him be investigated by a board. And at the same time, as the person is being investigated, you interdict him. So that interdiction is wrongful.
Like as I said, fighting corruption or asking somebody to account is the proper thing to do. We all support it. But you don't do that using illegal or corrupt means.
The Uganda Police has embarked on retooling regional police commanders on the case of management to reduce costs in court proceedings. This follows the Attorney General observations about the increasing slapped costs emanating from court cases against the Uganda police force.
Cases against human rights, especially torture and detaining people beyond 48 hours, are the main complaints that have put police image in bad repute. Regional police commanders are blamed for the failure to handle and guide investigations expeditiously.
Cases we cannot win. For example, if there is a case arising out of torture, we cannot win it. We want to see a situation where there is no torture, where there is no detention beyond 48 hours.
The reawakening of territorial commanders come at a time when police is struggling to meet court costs with meager resources of 300 million shillings annually.
300 million may not even clear one case. An award can be 400 million in one case. So you can see the 300 I'm given for AI is nothing.
Officers are cautioned about the laxity of sitting on case files, which attracts costs and damages for the force and dents its image. The force is intending to deduct some costs from the specific officers' salaries.
But this never happens. And the reason why it doesn't happen is that we ask for information, we ask for the case files, we ask for the officers who investigated this case so that we can talk with them before we forward the matter to the Attorney General, and we never get this. And this must stop.
The Attorney General is accusing police of criminalizing civil cases that backfire against the force in the end, hence exposing the force's weaknesses. However, this comes with cost awards in the courts of law against the force.
We need individual police officers, not even the regional heads or the Directorate of Legal and Human Rights Affairs, but individual officers to be nominated to serve as witnesses in these matters.
The principal legal advisor to government is concerned about police continued abuse of human rights, especially torture, which is difficult to defend.
10 of that law provides that any perpetrator from any government office, any public who contributes or aids and abets the violation of human rights may be held personally responsible for his participation in the rights violation.
The Police Directorate of Legal Affairs and Human Rights is blaming regional commanders of keeping quiet and disobeying instructions, which cost the forces in courts of law. Abdul Nasole Lubwama, UBC News.
Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development Betty Amongi has said that the National Social Security Fund savers eligible for mid-term benefits will start applying next week, beginning the 7th of March 2022. She was addressing the media in Kampala. On the 2nd of January this year, President Yoweri Museveni assented to the NSSF Amendment Act of 2022, forming a law upon publication of the Gazette on the 7th of February that some savers above 45 years of age will be eligible to mid-term access of their savings.
A member who is 45 years of age and above who has made contribution to the fund for at least 10 years will be eligible to mid-term access to his or her benefits of a sum not exceeding 20% of their accrued benefits. And 2, a member who is a person with disability and is 40 years of age and above and made contribution to the fund for at least 10 years is also eligible to access mid-term for a sum of 50 years of his or her accrued benefits. So the meaning of the phrase contribution for at least 10 years will mean that a member should have made at least a saving for 120 monthly contribution to the fund. Application will be online. We encourage as much as possible that you apply online. Of course, if you have difficulties, NSSF has offices up country. You can visit those offices and you will be supported to make your application. And for you to apply, you will need your national identification card. If you are not a Ugandan, you will need your alien's identification card. If you are a refugee, you will need your asylum seeker or refugee registration documents. This is always issued by Office of the Prime Minister, and you will need your national social security number.
The Parliamentary Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline has engaged officials from the Uganda Communications Commission in the ongoing investigations into the alleged misconduct of Micheal Municipality Member of Parliament Francis Zake. Although UCC has failed to retrieve the alleged social media posts which pin MP Zake against parliamentary language used through his social media account to belittle the Speaker, Anita Among.
The move to censure Micheal Municipality Member of Parliament Francis Zake has met resistance after Uganda Communications Commission failed to verify the ownership of the social media accounts of MP Zake. Officials from UCC told the Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline that Facebook and Twitter have restrictions provided by technology firms based in the United States of America.
Do the accounts have pictures? The Twitter account has some pictures, but a picture on a social media account can be anything. I don't want members to rely so much on pictures on social media accounts because anybody can put somebody's picture on an account.
It follows failure to retrieve the alleged posts, which according to UCC were deleted by the person who posted it on Twitter, and Facebook restrictions in Uganda can only be accessed using virtual private network VPN.
And so whoever is using Facebook now, they are using it illegally, and they could be subject to other processes. And that's why, Honorable, we are unable, even at this point, to go back to Facebook because we don't have that capability. From our technical analysis, we found all other posts available, but the specific post that was brought to our attention by Parliament, we couldn't find it.
How do you come to testify to us about issues of Facebook that is out of use?
The probe being investigated by the Parliamentary Committee follows a complaint raised by Badege Layub Division Martin Mapenduzi, who proposed to move a motion to have MP Zake Francis removed from the Parliamentary Commission, accusing him of using his social media accounts to belittle the Deputy Speaker, Anita Among.
It was Facebook, not Twitter.
MP Zake Francis, during last written submission to the Parliamentary Committee chaired by Bugweri County Member of Parliament Abudu Katuntu, questioned the jurisdiction of the committee to investigate matters which he alleges is outside Parliament.
But all say this report should be ready next week.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gwitavinji, UBC News.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has reassured tenants and squatters in the district of Kiruhura that government will safeguard their land tenancy and occupancy. The assurance was delivered by Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba, who is on a 3-day working tour in Ankole sub-region.
The Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba has this Thursday kicked off a 3-day working tour of the western parts of the country, especially in Ankole sub-region.
Minister, you're most welcome.
She made her first engagement in Kiruhura district.
Omusoro guturukubi twakigambira muzeyi yajatana ba squatters batunje freehold konka kurugobo honorable minister tikikazaga munkora.
This 64-year-old widow couldn't hold her tears as she narrated her 18-year experience of endured eviction. At this meeting held at Akageti Trading Center and attended by area members of Parliament, locals raised various land-related concerns.
The fee to get the land title is very high. We need a subsidized price when we are going to get our land titles.
Located at the middle of Nshara Ranch and witnessing rapid urbanization, local authorities are requesting for annexation of part of the ranch.
And I have taken their request seriously. I'm going to write to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and inform him about their prayer and also their request, which is genuine. To me, it is a genuine one, because you realize that they were talking about serious government services and also expansion of business, because much as it is a ranch, but we believe that if some land is given to them...
Ratification of land titles issued to locals but not corresponding with ground information is also a matter forwarded to the Lands Minister.
Process people's titles, because that's what people want. We started on this process a long time ago, so people have been waiting. I think it's long time they have been waiting, and I think it's high time we fast track the process, we quicken the process and deliver to the expectations of the people.
Quick response. We thank His Excellency for appointing ministers that are so fast, who respond to people's problem, and I think that is service delivery. When you go on the ground, that is when you feel what people need. And today people expressed themselves. They told her all their problems, and she was in position to answer. So I am relieved as their member of parliament.
Minister Judith Nabakoba left behind some official directives. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kiruhura District.
Prosecution in the hearing of the LRA combatant Thomas Kwoyelo case has presented videos and photographs of dead bodies, graveyards and stranded civilians which were captured at the scenes following the LRA attacks in Gulu district.
The International Crimes Division Court in Kampala, presided over by Justice Micheal Erubu, Duncan Gaswaga and Justice Stephen Mobiru, is proceeding with the hearing of the case, where Thomas Kwoyelo is facing over 90 charges of crimes against humanity. Prosecution witness number 22, who testified in camera, was attached to Police Public Relations Office by then in 2004. Witness 42 told court on how he took the photos and the videos at the crime scenes following the Lord's Resistance Army attacks.
Based on my own handwriting and the description on the photographs, the date and the place where I took the photograph. What I'm holding here, the writing is photographs of injured victims taken from Lacho Hospital on 22nd May. That was the time when I was a corporal.
Photos presented to court indicated graveyards, retrieved dead bodies, and burnt huts. Witness 22 later confirmed to court to have captured the alleged videos and photos.
Some had fire burns, others had cuts on the body, and others had bullet wounds. Those were the victims from Pagak.
Defense legal team, however, objected to the presented videos, citing missing gaps, especially with the Baronyo IDP camp.
When you go to other camps, you can find out that they are trying to bring out that the thing was systematic. NRA did a lot of things up to West Nile and up to Teso. So you cannot use that opportunity to bring up to Soka. You cannot use an opportunity to bring everything which was done. So I think it will be prejudicial.
Court declined and directed State to present a videotape in the next court hearing. Court resumed on 9th March 2022. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
The Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Malaria want to fast-track the passing into law of the Malaria Control and Elimination Bill of 2019. However, call on stakeholders to support the address the financial gap. The chairperson of the forum, Apollo Christian, says that the commitment made by President Museveni of 380 billion shillings towards establishment of a malaria trust fund need to be included in the bill.
Uganda ranks 5th in cases of malaria deaths in Africa and 3rd in the burden of malaria globally. Malaria burden in Uganda is in eastern region, and this prevalence is attributed to people not appreciating healthcare because of having trust in herbal medicine, which contributes to drug resistance. Accordingly, 50% of the people in Uganda do not appear in health facilities and hence do not get treatment, which has led to the persistent malaria disease.
They appear the health facilities because they cannot access them, and they are unable because of poverty. If we don't effectively treat the people that fall sick of malaria, it implies that we'll keep with our malaria.
Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Malaria has engaged with stakeholders to come up with strategies to eliminate malaria by 2030. Pingire County Member of Parliament in Serere District, Fred Opolot, says that Serere District is losing about 75 people a month as a result of malaria, emphasizing the need to fast-track the passing of the Malaria and Control Bill into act.
Current status means that 95% of funding for malaria is by development partners. These are countries outside Uganda. Uganda injects only 5%, contributes 5% towards the fight against malaria, and that is abysmal.
The malaria control bill was first tabled by the 10th Parliament. However, there are stages it has to go through.
And one of the key requirements is creating public awareness and publication of the bill. And of course, that requires some resources.
President Museveni made a commitment at CHOGM 2018 during the Malaria Summit in London to establish the Presidential Malaria Trust Fund and give funding to community health extension workers.
3 billion shillings is being outsourced by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development every year for the VHTs, and this money is being paid to them as per the presidential commitment in London.
Members on this forum have challenged research institutions to avail information for use to lobby for funds. I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
The General Manager of National Water and Sewage Corporation, Kampala, Mohammed Lutaya, has urged the public to stay calm as they sort out the water scarcity time. He says that the water plant at Gava is experiencing a technical problem that has affected some parts of Kampala. Mohammed was speaking to UBC at their offices in Gava.
Yafunyemu problem nebira ne affecting pumps zaffe era kikoseza aba customer baffe naddala mu kibuga wakati e Kampala wano system yafuta already tulino giswitchinga off tulabe nga tugezaako okufixinga obwo obuzibu obwabaddewo ku makya bwa pipe yaffe yafunye obuzibu obwo era timu yaffe already eri ku ground okuva ekivubo kyatuseewo nga tuli sure olw'enkya olinaatuukira ssaawa 12 tujja kuba tumaliriza basobola okufuna amazzi kyetwetagisa kyokka bakozi baffe era kyobulabe tulinawo ne some of the tools zetukozesa okurepairing nga tuzirina byonna tewali kintu kyanjawulo kyonna kiba tetulina okugulawo bweru ebintu byonna ebyebadde byetagisa okulaba nti namazzi tugazi.
Ministry of Health is in advanced stages of coming up with specialized hospital bills to guide the utilization of specialized human resource in public and private health facilities. This was disclosed by the Director Curative Services in the Ministry, Dr. Charles Olaro, at a symposium for Nakasero Hospital Cardiac Diagnostic Center.
Shortly after experiencing what transpires here, Butembo County Member of Parliament concluded that something was wanting at this health center for Dr. Patrick Mutono, himself a professional medical doctor, saw the need to expand the health facility, which will address the growing needs.
Statistics at Uganda Heart Institute show that 1 in every 4 adults have hypertension, implying that 25% of the adult population in Uganda has heart complications. Nakasero Hospital has established a modern laboratory for treating heart-related complications. Ministry of Health acknowledges that the country lacks specialized human resource, so the specialized hospital bill is underway to guide the utilization of specialized personnel in public and private facilities.
When we develop that hospital bill, then we'll have a framework of how we optimize the equipment and then how do we optimize the human resources. So when we have that, then it will be allowable that within that framework, you will find that probably one consultant or one specialist can work in all different facilities. So long as you know that this time you will be in this place and this time you will be not in the other place.
However, specialized treatment is still expensive, and government must work closely with private sector to ensure that high-tech treatment is affordable.
How do we make these services affordable? I think that's now where we need to be able to see how the consumables, how the things will be able to work, so that we can be able to have the systems work.
So we really aim at making these services affordable, and we are going to try and do whatever it takes to make them affordable, because we know if you look at what happens in our cardiac and wellness center, so many patients are screened.
Some of the Western countries, what they do is that government goes into what you mentioned, PPP, private-public partnership.
make sure that the government subsidizes the cost of those services so that eventually the price, the cost that goes to the patient is subsidized. So I think the Minister of Health needs to look into that.
To improve management of heart-related complications, Nakasero Hospital met with the Ministry of Health, cardiologists, Uganda hospital executives, physicians and international experts to share experience in treating heart diseases. Adiana Kote, UBC.
Ministry for Karamoja Affairs has secured shillings 5 billion to support the ongoing disarmament in the region. The money is part of the 39 billion supplementary budget approved by Parliament to buy gala goats, iron sheets to transform lives in the region.
The ministers in charge of Karamoja Affairs, Mary Goreti Chitutu, Agnes Nandutu, and Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs, Vincent Sempija, Army officers from 3rd Division, Anti-Stock Theft Unit officers, and RDCs have met in Moroto Municipality to discuss security in the region.
Guns I projected here, it is not a rumor, but intelligence profiled and each person who possesses a gun is reported. We have them. We know each sub-county, each district, each village, those who are armed, not suspected. We are going for them and we are covering. That's why we have 106.
The meeting is ahead of preparations for Regional Security Council meeting due in Karamoja.
Meetings are meant to bring all the councils of the 9 districts together in the region. It is provided for in the Constitution.
The 3rd Division Commander, Brigadier Joseph Balikodembe, told the meeting about the emerging spirit of revenge and commercialized raids in the area.
We have arrested the suspects, we have interrogated them, and whoever is arrested and we recover a gun, he pinpoints about Tokosa, the Turkana of Kenya and South Sudan, respectively, on where the source of weapons.
The Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs, Vincent Sempija, says there are ongoing talks between Uganda and security officials on control of gun movement in both countries.
In a few days, we are signing an agreement with Kenya to start operating together. So they have a week working with us to carry out operations.
Minister Sempija says there is need to register all animals in Karamoja sub-region to avoid exaggeration of stolen animals.
There is a lot of misinformation and when they read a kiral, somebody who was under the cow says they have taken 300 cows. And then when you recover the 100 cows, they say, but you have taken the rest.
Recently, Parliament approved 39 billion shillings supplementary budget, of which 5 billion has been approved to acquire iron sheets, gala goats for distribution.
Support the disarmament. And this was a directive by UNICEF that if we could give some of these youth like 15 goats or 15 she goats and then 1 he-goat, they could be able to move on and they stop going into this dangerous game.
At least 280 metric tons of food is ready at Namalu Government Prison to be distributed to Karamoja.
Government has earmarked 1.8 billion Uganda shillings towards the renovation and expansion of Butembo Health Center 4 in eastern Uganda. The area MP, Dr. Lodoi Patrick Mutono, says this will address the growing health needs of the district. While handing over equipment to the midwifery department, the President Ugandan Nurses and Midwifery Union, Justus Cherop, warned medical practitioners against soliciting bribes from the patients.
Shortly after experiencing what transpires here, Butembo County Member of Parliament concluded that something was wanting at this health center for. Dr. Patrick Mutono, himself a professional medical doctor, saw the need to expand the health facility, which will address the growing needs.
The place is congested, they have no space.
It is a challenge whose answer government has given in the earmarked 1.8 billion Uganda shillings towards its expansion.
To build an operating theatre, to build a maternity, and the 2 staff houses. So I'm happy that the Ministry of Health has found funds at least to help us combat that issue of being overcrowded.
Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union has donated equipment worth 10 million Uganda shillings to rescue the facility.
When we planned for these proposals, we planned these proposals to go to Health Center Force, but this Health Center Force particularly was not part of it. We were taking this thing somewhere else.
Besides donations to assist in child delivery, professionalism of the nurses is also important.
Chosen to be nurses.
Justus Cherop warns against misconduct, a similar idea emphasized by Butembo LC5 chairperson James Okurut.
Don't involve yourself in extorting money from the patients.
Never be sent by a clinical officer, a doctor, that you ask money on my behalf. If he wants money, tell him that please you are the one who did the procedure, ask the money yourself.
Similar donations also worth 10 million Uganda shillings were extended to Kanginima Hospital, a private but not-for-profit facility in Butembo district. Henry Okrut, UBC.
State Minister for ICT Joyce Nabosa Sebugwao has asked the Uganda and Ethiopian media councils to come together for mutual support, which will in the long run boost media reporting in Africa. Nabosa was officiating at the send-off of the Ethiopian Media Council after a 3-day visit of the Uganda Media Council.
Delegates from the Ethiopian Media Council have spent 3 days in Uganda sharing ideas on how they can better performance of media practitioners in the 2 countries. The State Minister for ICT, Joyce Nabosa Sebugwao, who officiated their send-off, called upon the 2 parties to have a unifying body which will encourage support to either party.
I encourage the 2 media councils to maintain these collaborations so that we have media that support the development process in our 2 sister countries.
The ambassador of Ethiopia to Uganda, Her Excellency Alemtsehei Meseret, says there is need to mold the young generation into the African culture, and this is only possible with the involvement of media.
We need media that educates our society. We need media that narrates the true story of our society, our African history and culture. We need such type of media.
The chairperson Uganda Media Council, Paul Ekochu, is optimistic that with the collaboration of the 2 countries, quality of news in Africa is going to improve a great deal.
We now know that we have a sister body in Ethiopia, which we can rely on. We do know that the news that is carried out of Africa generally is so should I say West-centric. In the future we can have beautiful and profound news which is African-made and African-regulated.
The Chief Executive Officer, Ethiopian Media Council, Molaling Melese, is delighted by the knowledge acquired from the Uganda Media Council and the Uganda Media Houses, which he says will help improve media production in their country.
I have indeed received a lot of rich information that will enhance the activities of the Ethiopian Media Council. We have greatly benefited from your experience, and we sincerely believe that would actually contribute to the overall purpose of the Ethiopian Media Council.
I am Mary Namkose for UBC News.
Yes, with Mary Namkose's story, we take a short break. We have more on return. Please keep it with us.
MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150*10# or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Owechitiwa Peter Maiga, the Prime Minister of Buganda, states, let us all take the necessary precautions.
Self-medication is always very dangerous. We should leave medical matters to the medical personnel. It's only a healthy population that can produce wealth. And if you want to work for your well-being, you must care about your health first.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
National Medical Stores is a government agency mandated to buy, store and distribute medicines and medical supplies to government health facilities in Uganda. For Ugandans that we serve, help us serve you better by taking your individual responsibilities seriously. Report theft of government medicines and medical supplies to the nearest police station or to the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Do not pay for any medicines or medical supplies labeled Government of Uganda, not for sale. Do all that is within your means to stop all preventable diseases, including COVID-19. Continue observing the Ministry of Health Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs, including wearing a face mask whenever you are in public spaces. Visit a designated health facility to receive your COVID-19 vaccination and a booster dose for those that are eligible. Prevention is better than cure. National Medical Stores, passionate about your life.
Start the year off with My Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Thank you so much for joining us and keeping it with us. We now go talk business news tonight. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Keti Lamaru, has reiterated the need for Ugandans to embrace vocation training skills to close employable gaps. Lamaru was on a familiarization tour of the Directorate of Industrial Training in Kampala.
Competence-based assessment.
Skills development is on government agenda, and the Ministry of Education has set up infrastructure and policies to serve the beneficiaries. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, Keti Lamaru, was on a familiarization tour at the Directorate of Industrial Training, Lugogo.
Skills development is a very high agenda for government, and being a sector directly responsible for human capital development, the Ministry of Education and Sports has the responsibility to ensure the necessary structures and programs in place to make this happen.
She applauds DIT for attaining international certification, which enhances Uganda's labor force.
My prayer is that the continued growth provides an opportunity for more Ugandans to attain certification for the level of skills acquired.
The chairperson, Industrial Training Council, Dr. Ruth Musoke-Biyinzika, promised support towards promoting skills development.
But it's what we need, because the only way you can determine whether somebody is able to do something is by assessing their competence. All right? And how do you assess the competency? Is by somebody doing something practically. If you say I can bake, if you say I can build, the only way I can assess you is to see what you're able to do.
The Directorate has consistently registered an increase in numbers of candidates for occupation assessment, with at least over 400,000 assessed in the last 10 years. 80% are females.
More women have joined the profession. Our assessment, almost 80% now are women. Why? That means women have embraced what? Skills training, skills development.
Inadequate funding and manpower challenges still hinder the effectiveness of the Directorate.
We are also, competency-based is expensive. The assessment is 25 times.
Practical skills for sustainable development.
Government has been asked to inject more money in the vocational training institutes in order to reduce violence among the young people seeking for employment. Associate Professor Eddie Walakira, a focal person of a just concluded research on young people's exposure to violence, skills development and entry into decent employment, made the call.
According to research conducted by Malaria University Department of Social Works in collaboration with the London School of Hygiene about the young people's exposure to violence, skills development and entry into decent employment, findings show that a number of young people fail to acquire decent jobs due to poor backgrounds and exposure to violence in their early stages of education.
Many of them have poor backgrounds. Many of them find accessing skills training very costly, and many of them end up not doing work which protects their rights.
The findings further reveal that inadequate jobs in the country are the leading causes of trafficking within and outside the country.
You have a country where you have a big number of youth who are not employed. This is struggling for the same little opportunities. We are not creating jobs. It shows you the circumstances that make it inevitable that a person will be trafficked.
To address this challenge, researchers think that emphasis should be put in vocational skilling institutions, both government and privately owned, across the country to equip the young people with the skills which can help sustain themselves with minimal supervision.
Positive environments in both skills training and employment had the potential to help young people to kind of build resilience following adversity in earlier life.
However, some young people think that building resilience can help them overcome hardships they meet in their lines of duty.
Some chose to tolerate the experience and were able to continue to function at work or even in the study. Yes, there were those pressures, sexual advances, this, that, but in a way, some were very focused and they managed to complete their programs or they managed to continue with their work.
I am Mary Namkose for UBC News.
Minister of State for the Youth and Children Affairs, Sarah Mateke, and Voluntary Service Overseas have launched a youth empowerment, entrepreneurship and decent employment project worth $1 billion to support and uplift the young people. This initiative has come at a time when government is spearheading the parish development model campaign for the country to recover economically.
Government has created avenues to overcome unemployment among youth, including the launch of the parish development model. Voluntary Service Overseas is supporting youth to translate knowledge to reality. The 5-month program is giving startup capital to 500 youths from different backgrounds.
We are going to be showing them opportunities which they can embrace, because we know it's very easy to start an enterprise. but there are some basic things which you need to have. We are going to provide internet, computers, and everything the youth may need to go and apply for jobs. Out of the 500, 5% are going to be youth with disabilities. Areas of focus for this project are Kampala and Wakiso.
We look at the youth and we find that these people lack capacity to pursue personal development, and this makes them reluctant. You know, these are people who are still very poor, and they still grow, sell, and make money, and this is the money that they are using to improve on their livelihoods.
No money is dirty. They should also understand that no money is disgraceful. And they should also understand that no matter how little the money is, it will change your future if you do something productive with it. One can start by saving just 100.
Government will start tracking youth to receive funding.
Now we are going to the parish development model, where money is going to the parish. 30% of the money that is going to the parish is supposed to support the youth, to help them in their programs, in their projects, so that it is also a revolving fund. Whoever is going to get that money should not take it and think that they will not pay it back, like they did in the parish, in the youth livelihood program. For sure, you may not benefit from the parish development model. We shall not continue the same people taking government money and not paying back at the expense of others.
The over 1 billion shillings is inclusive of people living with disabilities. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
UNICEF, in partnership with Outbox and NGO, have donated 308 million shillings to 4 teams out of the 14 that participated in the second cohort of UNICEF's Innovation Fund Challenge. The fund is to help the innovators come up with solutions to challenges faced by children and adolescents in education, health, and protection services.
And then through the training of the community of professionals.
In a bid to improve education, health, sanitation and hygiene, UNICEF has over the years helped communities. The UNICEF Innovation Fund Challenge initiative, launched in December 2020, supports various projects.
We train our community of professionals on maternal and child health.
The project was started to support entrepreneurs, civil society organizations and startups in creation of innovative solutions and ideas generated to solve challenges faced by children and adolescents.
Most of these refugees come from a background where there is lack of information around menstruation and female genital mutilation.
The winning innovative ideas were Vapoxy filter to provide clean and safe drinking water, Mobi Clinic that provides health care to women and children, Big Play that solves education challenges, and the portable neonate warmer that provides monitored normal temperatures ranging between 36.5 degrees Celsius and 37.5 degrees Celsius, while safely being transported to hospitals. Each of the participating 4 teams that emerged winners received a check of 77 million shillings. The acting representative UNICEF in Uganda, Lola Sigrist Foch, pledged UNICEF's support to communities in Uganda.
It's exciting to hear from young people bringing real ideas. So the innovation fund that we have established with UNICEF Uganda is actually aimed to address some of those very challenges about not taking things to scale or being able to see things through.
The managing director, Outbox Uganda Limited, Richard Zulu, advised the winners to utilize the funds effectively.
So we have come to appreciate the challenges that our young people face when they come up with innovations and they struggle to find market for them. And so for us, one of the things that innovators learn is the aspect of managing their money well.
Participants, who included persons with disabilities, commended the innovative project.
Personally, I believe it's very important for persons with disabilities to participate.
Bank of Uganda is planning on the leveraging on technology for its next 5-year national financial inclusion strategy at the central bank, while presiding over the assessment of the electronic Know Your Customer project. Premo Nogwok, the senior principal bank examiner, reiterated the importance of financial technologies for reasonable financial inclusion.
In 2019, Bank of Uganda, with partners, contracted a fintech company to develop a digital identification verification system to connect all banks and licensed financial institutions. The project, developed dubbed Electronic Know Your Customer, was initiated to support attainment of the digital economy.
So financial institutions use this, for instance, to open an account for a person in a village in Gulu or a person in a village in Kanungu. Because as you get out of Kampala, the number of branches that a bank has also decreases.
Ogwok reiterates Bank of Uganda commitment of leveraging emerging financial technology to develop the national financial inclusion strategy.
In addition, the Bank of Uganda vision is also to develop a payments ecosystem that is cost-effective and efficient for the financial services providers and their customers, on which provision of innovative products suited to the needs of the customers would ride.
The well-developed digital economy without leaving anyone behind in the financial ecosystem is projected to widen the country's tax base.
Once we have the idea of individuals and businesses and a better understanding of how they participate in the financial sector, meaning how they spend their money, school fees, health, education, where they buy their goods from, how they receive money, whether it's remittances, salary payments, wages. These data trails help the financial sector build more customized and valuable products for customers.
The assessment and verification of Electronic Know Your Customer project has revealed that 25 institutions have so far subscribed.
Of course, as we end this first phase, as an industry, we must have a framework for relationship management. There will be issues of support, complaints, matters to be attended to, and therefore we are putting in place a framework that even as the project phase ends, we have a good support framework to support member institutions.
The current phase of this project is intending to validate bankers' identification information. The system will bring together all data protection entities with a shared portal of specific public information. The system is using NIRA's existing records to help banks validate the identity of their prospective customers. Charlotte Muge and Abdul Nasir Lubwama for UBC News.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay, FlexiPay, or Bridge Schools. To pay school fees using FlexiPay, dial *185#. Select option 6 School Fees. Select option 3 FlexiPay. Enter the school code. Enter the student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Are you a lender? Do you lend against movable properties such as motor vehicles, household items, farm produce, and so on? Let us help you lend in a safer way through Simple. Simple is the security interest in movable property registry system. It is an online register hosted by URSB for registration of security interest on movable property. For more information, call this toll-free number 0800100006 or log on to simple.ursb.go.ug. Simple. Safer lending, easier borrowing.
This message was brought to you by Uganda Registration Services Bureau.
MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily band of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150*10# or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN.
MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Thank you so much for keeping it with us, and now we'll talk sports news tonight. With targets on unity, COVID-19 vaccination, environmental protection and talent search, the 2022 Karamoja Games have been launched.
The third edition of the Karamoja Games has been launched in Nakapiripiriti district. It will be hosted at Nakapiripiriti Primary School on 29th and 30th April to coincide with school holiday in order to meet intentions.
Social activity in line with our objectives of environmental protection in Karamoja. So we're going to plant trees in all institutions in our Nakapiripiriti. We shall plant trees in schools, health centers, mosques, markets. And this is an activity which ensures Karamoja is green, and we are starting from Nakapiripiriti. In addition to that, we shall also have COVID-19 vaccination. Karamoja can bring together many thousands of Karamojans who come. And one of the objectives is to ensure there's unity. There is peace in the country, and in particular Karamoja. Karamoja has a track record of cattle rustling. So this game is held during school holidays, because our target are the school dropouts and the school ongoing. We want to ensure that we engage them. That's why there's community engagement. We engage them during holidays, so that they're busy in sports. Because we want to curtail them from cattle rustling. We want to curtail them from being idle. And above all, on talent search, we don't end here. When we do a talent search, we expose them.
The games will host 9 teams from the districts Napak, Karenga, Kotido, Abim, Moroto, Nablatuk, Amdat, and Kabong in Karamoja sub-region.
The facilities available will be enough to accommodate them. The girl child parents, don't feel shy to bring your girls. They are going to be very safe. We have ensured and we shall ensure that there is a lot of security.
The games will have 5 sports: football, netball, woodball, athletics, and volleyball, all representing international laws. The best from all, like has been at the previous editions in 2018 and 2019, will be selected to represent the region elsewhere. Joshua Kagoro, UBC News.
With Joshua Kagoro's story about Karamoja Games, we come to the end of news tonight. Thank you so much for having been part of the World Bulletin. My name is Micheal Jordan Lukomwa with Elizabeth Nakakon and the whole team. Wish you the best of the night. Molen Kenyana is ready here with the weather forecast report, and we'll give her room to tell it.
Well, hello there. Good evening and a very warm welcome. Thank you very much for watching UBC News. Time now to look into our weather reports. My name is Molen Kenyana. Now, it looks like we had rains across the country throughout last night into the early hours of today morning, and according to the available data, Kabale was reporting a total of 18.5 millimeters. Bara had 6 millimeters. We also had 17 across Kasese, and Kampala was reporting 9.7 millimeters. Now, looking into our satellite analysis, we still have those low pressure systems that are developing over the Indian Ocean, and because of that we're seeing most of the moist winds, as you can see from those white arrows, are being diverted towards these low pressure systems, which is why we've had a reduction in wet weather activities across our region. Now, according to this, we can anticipate that tomorrow in the morning we will wake up to mostly dry weather. We have sunny intervals across most areas, but quite a pretty sunny morning across northern Uganda as well as the Karamoja region. Now, later in the afternoon, we expect to maintain similar weather across most areas with sunny intervals, although we're likely to have light rains, but that will be only over a few places within the western side of Lake Victoria. Now, our daytime highs, we're warming up. We're seeing a maximum of 29 across Kampala for tomorrow. We're also likely to have quite a hot day across the Karamoja region with 34. Same conditions as well for central northern Uganda, but we'll have quite cooler weather across Kawale Highlands, with temperatures rising up to 25 degrees centigrade. Now, some of the world cities that we have for you, we're forecasting sunny conditions that will be across Cairo with quite some cold weather at a maximum of 19, and also likely to have sunny intervals for Tokyo as well as Kisumu. Kisumu temperatures will be rising up to 30 degrees centigrade, quite normal for this time of the year. Also forecasting sunny conditions that will be across Addis Ababa with temperatures going up to 27. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's weather report. Thank you very much for giving us company. My name is Molen Kenyana, wishing you a good night.
Good evening to you, our dear viewer. It's UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda. It's a Wednesday, and I'm hopeful that for whatever you're doing, it's a midweek kind of plan that you're having on your mind. My name is Kent, your host this particular time, as UBC brings you yet again another of a kind, a health talk show. This time round, we are going to be talking NTDs. And when I talk NTDs, I am meaning to say neglected tropical diseases. It's quite an interesting scenario, quite an interesting entity. And of course, in studio with me,